Hello ladies, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I thought we could talk about how we can practice poise and like the practicality of practicing poise. If you are new to this channel, you may not know that all throughout the month of January, we have been covering the topic of poise, how to be it, how to live it, and how to actually practice it. So in today's video, I thought we could talk about some of those practical ways. It is very easy to get flustered when you are having people over. You start to worry about everything from how you look, to how clean your house is, to whether or not they'll like the food. The funny thing is, these things fall very low on the priority list of what your guests really care about. Of course, it's important to present yourself well. You wouldn't want to open the door in sloppy sweats or to have your house look like a complete clutter war zone. And naturally, you want the food to please. But what your guests are really looking forward to when they visit you is you. Good friends just want to see your face. They want to relax. They want to laugh. They want to catch up on the news. They want to escape their own lives for just a little while and enjoy your company. It's you they want. They don't want a stressed out version of you because you're worried your baseboards are dusty. They don't want you to not listen to their story because you're worried that you're having a bad hair day. They don't want you constantly apologizing for the dish you made. They're just happy that you made it. So obviously a great place to start with practicing poise is with inviting people over or hosting people in your home. When people first show up at your house, you're going to want to take their jackets off of them and then put it somewhere appropriate, and their handbags, take it and then put it somewhere appropriate. If you were subscribed to this channel or saw some of the videos that I had put out over the Christmas period, you would have seen or heard that I had invited some friends over. And especially if you follow us over on our homemaking and vlogging channel, you would have seen the day that I was setting up for my guests that were coming over. And one of the things I didn't do is I let my husband answer the door and greet our guests, and he did invite them in. However, he didn't take their jackets, and we have this key rack on the side of the wall by our door, and my friend Lisa that came over, she hung her jacket on it, and it was totally all right that she did that. But when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness this didn't fall, because typically it's one of those things that are more for decoration than for function. And typically, even when my husband and I hang our keys on it, it goes crashing down to the ground. So I just don't even know how that didn't happen this time. And I would have just hated to be in a moment where she felt like she broke it when I didn't put it on the wall properly. So take your guest's jacket and their purses and then just put it in the appropriate spot, or at least tell the person that you left that task to do it like this. Now, once you've invited people in, you have shown them where they can enter and sit down, you are going to want to offer them a drink. One of the things that I'm loving, kind of expanding my homemaking repertoire, is creating custom drinks. So over the Christmas period, I created eggnog, and we've got some friends and family coming over for my birthday on the 23rd. And it's not for my birthday, but they're just coming over, and I am going to be making a custom drink for that day. So I'm really excited for that. One of the other things that I'm finding really useful, and I know I covered this in December's kind of etiquette series, is if you can put out a place card. If you can put out a place card, or if you have assigned seating, it makes the whole situation go so much smoother, and it's a lot more of a poised and leveled up kind of situation. If you remember, you will want to start serving the female guest first. And if this is something that is completely new to you, try a hospitality challenge. Maybe you can invite a neighbor over, and when they come over, put out your china and drink tea and eat your pastries from that china. I personally have 2 sets of china. One, I haven't completely bought the set yet, and I just brought it over from Canada. The other one I actually found at a thrift shop, and it is beautiful. So both of the items I don't have all the pieces for, but I know if I invited one of my neighbors over right now, I would feel a little bit like, oh, am I really gonna use the best stuff? And I'm trying to break out of that. But this thrifted set that I did pick up is still beautiful, but it doesn't feel as bougie. So start with, if you are uncomfortable with this like I am, maybe start with something that is better than your average piece of cutlery or plates, but work your way up to the fancier item until it feels second nature to you. Invite a neighbor over for tea this week. If you haven't received someone in your home in a while, this can be scary. We can be so insulated in our own lives that it can be intimidating to have someone in our private space. Take the plunge and extend the invitation to your neighbor. In a gentler time, this practice was much more commonplace. These days, our neighbors never see the inside of our homes and we never see theirs. But we are in our community together. It's a great way to strengthen bonds and friendship. Your gathering need not be fancy. A simple cup of tea and some cookies, homemade or store-bought, are perfectly acceptable. Your neighbor will be so charmed, it might be the first time she's ever been asked for tea. If you enjoy it, you can make it a regular thing. Slowing down for one afternoon and spending your time with a neighbor can be a reinvigorating experience, and it's a wonderful way for you to practice your poise. The other thing that I'm really learning when it comes to entertaining guests is that I don't have to bake a cake. I can get store-bought cookies or store-bought cakes and just put it on a nice plate, and it still gives that same warm hospitality, and you don't have to try and check all the boxes all at once. At the end of the day, a poised hostess is going to take all of her guests' basic needs into consideration. So if they're traveling from afar, you're going to give them a drink and maybe some food when they've come in. I know personally, one of my clients, she told me a story how when she goes and visits this one friend, that no matter if she's staying overnight, this friend only offers her a glass of green tea. And it just doesn't make her feel very warm and invited. And equally, one of my first lessons with this was my mom came over to braid my hair probably like 7 or 8 years ago, and I just totally forgot to offer her something to drink or anything to eat. And it was probably like 2 weeks later, she was like that time I came to your house and you never offered me anything. And I think sometimes it's easy to practice this hospitality with people that you're on your best behavior for, but then it's the people that you're a little bit more comfortable with and familiar with that these things kind of slide out the door. So just kind of be mindful of that. Now, if you are somebody, maybe you're on a tight budget and you don't want anything to be misconstrued with how much you can provide, because I don't know what your situation is. One of the things that you can do is that you can just set a plate of little nibbles out when these people come over, and then they can nibble at it as the day goes on, but then there's no expectation of anything more being provided for. Equally, people don't like to feel like they're causing you any more work. So what I'm finding is that if I have little nibbles out, people are more likely to actually eat that. Whereas if I ask somebody, hey, are you hungry? They want to be polite. And so they'll say, oh no, I'm fine. And they would have ate if you had something else. So even if they didn't, I find it's best now to have some type of nibbles out. And if they eat it, great. And if they don't, that's totally okay too. Now, one of the ways that you can avoid that awkward interaction where someone might not know if they're staying for dinner or not is don't invite someone over dinner time. Wild concept, right? I know I've had that before where maybe I was on a tighter budget and I didn't have enough to go around, and so the biggest way I could avoid that was just not inviting people over dinner time. We're living in a casual time when the gravity of hostess duty seems irrelevant or outdated. Therefore, it's important that those of us who care, who are committed to cultivating poise, don't let the climate of our current culture dictate how we receive people in our home. Don't feel silly for using your best plates, teacups, and cloth napkins when you invite a neighbor over for a cup of tea and a brownie. Your guests probably won't be used to being treated so grandly and will most likely act surprised. But don't let self-consciousness get the better of you and start apologizing for things in a self-deprecating way. Just simply be your poised self with conviction and graciousness. You might inspire her to dust off the china and use her best things on a regular basis too. One thing is for certain, you will make your guest feel very special, and she will know what she means to you. If you don't have any nice dishes, don't worry. Entertaining is not about showing off your expensive possessions, it's about welcoming your guests and making them feel special and spending time with them. You can do that even if every plate you own is old and chipped. It's the warm and confident way in which you act, your best self, that will win them over. I did create a video about how we can be a poised guest back in the summer, but I thought I would touch on it very quickly here at the end of this video. Now, how can you go about being a poised guest? Well, you'll always want to arrive with a gift. It doesn't have to be something grand, but it really is just the gesture at the end of the day. So for me, I find that it's a little bit harder to bring a gift for people that I don't really know, whereas when I show up with a gift to somebody's home that I do know or I have recently spent time with, it allows them to feel a lot more honored because I try to listen out for something that they've mentioned. So I was just out with my husband's cousin today, and the last time I saw her, she mentioned how she really likes herbal teas. And I know that locally there is you kind of scoop the tea yourself and you can mix and match all these different flavors. And I know I'm going to be going over to her house on the 29th. And so guess what I'm going to bring with me on the 29th. Now, if I wasn't being hyper aware and listening out for these things, it would have completely gone over my head. Whereas, you know, I'm glad that I've listened out for this and I know that I can go to her home prepared in such a thoughtful way next time. Now, the next thing that you will want to avoid when you are being a Poise house guest is not arriving too early. You'll want to give about 10 minutes, and this can be a little bit different culturally. I know in Italy, you might want to give a little bit more time, but really typically around 10 minutes when you are arriving at people's homes, that's like a good time frame. Maybe don't arrive early, but arrive about 10 minutes late. I'll give you another quick example of this. As I mentioned, over the Christmas holidays, I did have some of my friends over, and I obviously was timing the things that I cooked quite specifically, and they were actually 45 minutes late. Now, I typically would not mind, and of course I didn't say anything, but a lot of the food did end up cooking for a lot longer than I would have hoped for. And so because of that, it wasn't the best meal that I could have served. But if that gives you a little bit of an idea to not show up too early because they might still be getting ready, and then equally not to show up too late because when you are arriving to a home residence late, they might have had to put quite precise timings into whatever it is that they're serving. Also, this is something that I didn't come across in Canada, but here in the UK, when you make a booking or a reservation somewhere, you really typically only have it for a 2-hour time slot. So if you're going out and you're meeting someone and you get there late, you might only have a small window where you can actually order. And the next thing that you will want to consider if you are being a Poised house guest is not staying too late. I am somebody that really likes to wind things down early, and you know, sometimes it's easy to let the moment catch up with you, but if you are at somebody's home especially, be mindful of the fact that they might want to go to bed a little bit earlier, and sometimes a shorter catch up is a sweeter catch up. The next thing that you'll want to consider is not monopolizing the host's time. I am someone who personally likes more small and intimate gatherings, so I find that this doesn't happen too often. But if you are somewhere where there is a, more large of a group of people, do ensure that you're not taking too much of the host time, because the host will have to be popping around from person to person and ensuring that they got that FaceTime and that conversation in with the other people that have attended their party. The last thing that I want to leave you with if you are looking at being a Poised house guest is to go with the flow. I know that I'm somebody who, maybe I sleep in the mornings, but then whoever I'm going to stay with, they might be somebody who gets up really early. It would be not very respectful of me if I continued to run on my schedule. I should be a little bit aware of what my hosts are wanting to do for that day and what the rhythm of their life looks like. because if somebody is going to allow me into their home, the least that I can do is get up early or get up in the way that they get up, and I can do the things that they've planned out for me. Does that make sense? I feel like I could have said that a lot more efficiently, but do let me know if you didn't know what I meant by that in the comment section down below. Anyways, my friend, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've been enjoying this series all about poise. If you've missed the previous videos, I will have them linked in a playlist for you at the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.